This is a super fun and easy little bunny project. Look at that. Isn't he cute? Now, what I want you to know, it's all done in one piece except for the ears. And the ears, I did use a crochet hook and make these cute little bunny ears. They do stand up a little bit, but generally they flop down. So this is a floppy bunny. This one I made with a blue sweater. The one I'm making next is going to be this really bright gold. I think that's going to be cool. So let's get started and I'll walk you through all of the steps. Once you've done a hat, you can do this. I'm using the Sentro circular knitting machine. This is 22 pins. I am going to cast on the standard front back. So weaving back and forth, going all the way around. I do have a counter on my machine here. I have it listed down below in the more information box. The magnet for the counter is mounted right here at this pin between number 22 and number 1. And there's a perfect spot right here to stick on the sensor. So I am really excited about that. I'm going to go around one more time. I actually call this my whole cast on. So you do your back and forth for the first round, and then you knit the second round. I call that my cast on. So now I'm going to hit my reset button and I am going to knit 30 rounds. So it's just going to go round and round 30 times, coming up to the end of number 30. Okay, full transparency here, guys. I am seriously considering buying an Addi 22 because I see myself using this so much, and it's already starting to do kind of that little grindy grind sound. So I'm going to keep this, but I don't think that this is going to last. I mean, it is a toy, so that's what it is. So next step, I've done 30. We're going on to round 31. So I am going to run a drawstring. This is the same yarn. Right here, it's the same yarn, so it's not going to show. And I'm going to run it through double with my main yarn for one round. Whoops, don't get lost. Make sure that you keep all your rounds going. So now I've got all the way around. Now we're going to do the head, and the head is 9 rows. So I'm just going to click my counter and do 9 rows. So I've gone 9 times around. We're going to put another drawstring in. Now this drawstring could be the brown color or the bunny body color, or it could be your sweater color, whichever you have. I happen to have another one of my bunny color. So one round. With the drawstring. This is the neck. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut my tail here, put my gold on, and I am just using it off of a pre-knitted piece. I'll figure out later which of these ends is the body and which of these ends is the drawstring. This gold is Red Heart Super Saver, and it's just, I guess they call it orange. I just thought it looked like carrots. Just gonna give it a little granny knot. So we're gonna cut off the end, put the body color back in. We are going to, Now that the body color's back in, we are going to do another 8 rounds of body color, and then we will do 5 rounds of white for his cute little white shoe feet. I'm going to snip and drop. I like to hook my new working yarn onto the last needle that the old yarn was on. So if you see this right here, the previous yarn came across the needle here, and I'm crossing it under the hook right there with the new yarn. And now we're going to do 5 rows. All right, and that's 5. I'm going to pull off a nice amount of the yarn, grab my needle, and we are going to do the long tail cast off. So you take your yarn, you put it on a needle, and then you're going to go around. Come on. To there. And now I'm just going to pick up, and it looks like I ended up with a couple stitches that were going to tuck if I didn't. So I'm just going to pick those up as proper stitches. Look at that. Be careful when you're picking up that you don't pop them off the pins here before you are ready to pick them up. I like to put my finger down on the next stitch. It just keeps it in place. Just pick them up all the way around. And now we're ready to start working on the actual shaping of the bunny. And look at that. We're here. We've got it all knitted. It only took us about less than 15 minutes to knit this whole bunny up. So let's get this machine out of the way. And look at that. Just release those 2 clamps and we're ready to go. Now, I do want to give this little guy a stretch. So we're going to stretch that yarn. And before we get too far, we do have to go to the inside and find our drawstrings and poke them back out. So I just kind of stick my finger through the fabric, pinch it, and pull them through. And then find the other one. Found one. Now let's find the other one. That's the other one. So now we have our drawstrings to the outside. And we have our bunny. And yep, I did. I ended up with a tuck stitch in the middle here of the sweater. All right. I'm going to fix that tuck stitch. So I'm going to work my way backwards through here. See how I did that? I left a nice long tail. And by doing that, now my needle is in the middle of the yarn, and I can work my way back and get to that stitch that I need to drop to fix this. So I need to see, that's on this stitch right here. Oh, it's the next stitch. So I'm going to go like that. And then Right now, it's on my tail of the yarn. I'm going to snip. Now those other stitches behind here are safe. The stitches in front of it are safe. And now I can just work my way back to that tucked stitch, because it looks like that was the only one. And I'm just going to be careful. Pull on my stitches. Back to that tucked stitch right there, okay? And you notice the stitches are not going to just drop off. Unless I pull on it, the stitches are fine. So now we just need to grab the crochet hook, and I'm just going to pick up those stitches and slip stitch all the way back up. One stitch at a time. Just slip, slip. I'm just knitting those stitches back on with a crochet hook. So easy. Just make sure that you catch each bar in turn. This way he doesn't end up with a hole in his sweater. So let's see here. Looks like I've got a bar. Still have another bar right there of the orange. Now I'm going to pick up all of his bunny leg color. See how easy that is? Don't stress about it if a little something like that happens, and if it's worth it to you to fix it. It was worth it to me to fix it because it was a lesson that I could teach you. Look at that. How to fix a drop stitch. This is probably going to end up being a short also. Or a short piece of, a small quick tip video. I think I'll do that. It'll be a quick tip video. That. And then I'm going to grab that little tail right there. So all I have to do is just tie these two ends together so that I don't try and do my drawstring and then have it pull it off half the stitches. Make sure and tie those strings that you cut back together again. Kind of like a magic trick, right? That's nice and tight. That's not going anywhere. First stitch and last stitch of his feet and legs. These don't have to be so long, so we'll just trim it down. And now I can drawstring that through. And we are back in business. So look at that. We have a drawstring for the neck. We have a drawstring for the top of the head. We have the body. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and this part, we're going to drawstring in. All right. This is actually going all the way down to the feet. So this top one at the top, this very top, is actually going to be the part that's down at his feet. So this is the inner liner that we're doing. And just see which way my threads need to go, my yarn needs to go. To run around this area where we cinch it down, really quick like this. And I'm going to pull it down tight with a bit of a back and forth through the yarn knot. I'm going to leave the tail. All I'm going to do is poke the tail through to the inside, keep it on the needle, because that's just going to help me draw the whole thing down through. Don't worry about your drawstrings around the neck and the head. You will find them because we brought them to the outside. We're just going to stop at that point right there. So now we have the inner liner of your bunny to keep the stuffing all nice and tidy. We can draw this part here together. One of the cool things about a stuffy is that, you know, the person who owns it gets to decide what it is. Boy, girl. Okay, so the knot was not necessarily the best idea for long-term usage here. Where the knot is no longer necessary, I just cut that part off, and now I'm threading my yarn onto my needle. I'm going to finish closing. Closing the little feet off. I'm going to go around that little hole right there. Now I'm back to that little hole right there. I am actually going to rethread the body color onto the needle, and I'm going to work it back after I tie the knot here with the white. I'm going to work the body color back up through because it's going to get used when we're stitching the legs. So I'm just getting this worked back up. It's already attached. There's enough yarn. I might as well use it, right? Same thing with this white. I'm going to reattach. And even before putting the stuffing in, I am going to stitch the separation between the feet. So I'm sort of choosing a row that I'm going up in, and I'm going to go back and forth and separate the little feet. I am stitching through the liner also. There, coming out in that same row, going back down in that same row. See how that's making his little feet come together here, and back out in that same row. I love figuring these kind of things out. So I just have some Crafters polyfill, and I'm going to go ahead and take this and stuff it down in and get it all the way down, kind of pull it apart into two pieces. Stuff it down in and get some stuffing down on the one side for one foot and on the other side for the other foot. There we go. So now we're coming up, and I'm going to start using this yarn, and I'm going to line it up here with where the separation on his feet was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. And I'm leaving a little bit of brown here at the base. So I need to just make sure when I'm stitching it that I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I may or may not put the white for the hands. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. So I'm going to go down. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Woohoo! Lined it up. And then I'm going to take it way over to the side and snip that off. So his legs and feet have been done. Now we're going to put stuffing in for his middle, for his body. So we're here. We've got his tummy, and the area where his arms are going to go is stuffed. I want to go ahead and get his neck pulled in. Look at that. We're going to pull that in. We're going to tie it. Don't pull it down all the way. You're just trying to give him a neck. And then tie off those strings. I'm going to stitch around the neck, just inside those stitches. Staying in the brown, I don't want to go down into the orange, into the sweater color. And then bury this inside, come out in the area where it's the same color, and snip it off. There we go. Next step, we're going to put a golf ball size bit of stuffing in the top of his head. And right now the head doesn't look like it's going to work, does it? Trust me. Trust me. You're going to take about, if it's compressed down, it's about a golf ball, nice and compressed, size of the polyfill, and you're going to set it here. And you're still going to go, but that's not going to work. Just wait. Look at this. We can actually put more stuffing into the head, because I want his head to be fairly firm. And then you mush it and you squish it. And you also need to get your needle threaded. Run this back around through the whole area around that top, through the gathering where the drawstring is. And now I don't want to pull this in so that it's all bunched. I'm going to get this so that it ends up being kind of flattened. Instead of being quite so round here on the top like this, I want it to be flattened a little bit. The bunny's ears are going to get sewn on top also. So we still have to make the bunny ears. But I want to get to this point because at this point right here, you could make this into a kid. You could put hair on it. You could make it in, it could be a girl. It can be a boy. You can put dog ears on it and put a different face. And even though it looks a little bit odd right now, the head, you're thinking this is the whole body, but it's not. It's the arms and the head and the body. So that ends up making it come in like this, and then the head looks more in proportion. So just stay with me on this. Now I'm going to stitch across and come in and stitch across through the loops and across. And by doing that, that whole top of his head gets closed in. Look at that. Isn't that nice? So now I'm just going to get this worked back down to the other end. And I might as well, since I need to get there anyway, I might as well just stitch as I'm doing it. Right? There we go. And then I'll just bring this back to where the original string was. Give it a nice knot. I am going to trim it off and tuck it back inside, because we will use the strings from the ears to sew the ears on. And, you know, it took us less than 15 minutes to do all the knitting. What really takes the time on these guys is the finishing, is the details, whatever you're going to do to make it, you know, look like whatever it is you want it to look like. So now I'm taking some of that gold, thread it, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm 4 down. And let's see, how many columns are we? We're 5 columns. So it's the middle column on the side, and then 2 on either side of that. So 5 columns. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you are consistent on both sides. So if you do 5 columns on one side, make sure and do 5 on the other. If you do 3, then do 3. It all depends on how thick you want his arms to be, basically. Which one is it? I'm trying to see where I am. I'm there. Sometimes when you're first starting off, it's hard to see where those columns are. Just go back and forth and take your time. You know, these are fun things. They're fun for the person who receives them. They're fun for the person who's making them too. So enjoy the process, because, you know, if you don't enjoy your hobby, you need a new hobby. So if you haven't seen that video yet, I made the sweater that I'm wearing in less than 8 hours. It is the most popular video on my channel right now. Granted, I don't have a ton of videos on my channel yet, but I do have several. Just a fun process. So let's see here. We've got that center 1, 2. So I'm going to come in front of that one. So this one, I'm going to go down. Then I've got center 1, 2. It's going to come out on that one. Now, I'm not going to make little white hands. I'm going to say his hands are in his pockets. But what I want to do is I'm going to go along and finish the bottom edge of the cuffs and sweater. So I want some yarn that's the same color as the sweater. I think I'm going to go along and I'm going to give him a bit of a collar on his sweater. Let's see. What do I want to do? I think I'm just going to do not a running stitch, but kind of a back stitch for his collar. Those things are what take the extra time. Also, embroidering the face and crocheting the ears. So that looks good. See, that gives you a finished look on there. All right. So now I've got enough thread on here, or yarn on here. I'm going to take this down through the arm and do the exact same thing around the cuffs and the bottom of the sweater. And so I'll meet you back here when I'm all finished with that. Let's do his feet. Then we're going to come up and do his face, and then I'll show you the ears. because the ears and tail are what make whatever animal it is. So right now it could be a cat. It could be the bunny. It could be almost anything. So hold on to that. I'm only going to be stitching across the top of the feet. I'm not going to stitch across the back. So stitching across the top, one long stitch, and then a couple shorter stitches, and then I can see how far over on the side I needed to get. There. Okay. Taking it to the center point of the leg, coming out that side, coming back in, slightly different spot, so I can get the other foot. See how much difference that makes? Pulling that foot in like that. So that, like that. Oh my gosh, that just is amazing how much difference that makes. And that's a simple trick. Like that. I see that. There. And then coming out into the back. Tie this in a knot. And then, am I just going to use this yarn to make, I think I'm just going to use this yarn to make his tail. His tail is back here. Saying this is his backside. So back here. And I'm going to just pick a spot and then start making a whole bunch of little interlocking stitches to make this tail right here. Just keep going back and forth. Find a few threads that you want to stitch under and through. Keep going back and forth. There. There's the little tail. So little bunny tail. Pink. We're going to sew on the nose. And the nose is going to be a duplicate stitch, meaning a surface stitching that mimics the stitching here. Come in at the base of that V. Don't come out of the needle, please. This pink is just that pink that they give you when you buy the Sentro knitting machines. This is the Sentro knitting machine pink. So that way, and then back to here. I'm going to go along twice, I think. Back to the top on the same one. Then I'm going to go across and come down on the other side. Whoops. Make that little pink nose. See if I can get it to come out at the same spot, and we can tie those and then bury them. Whoopsie. Did I pull too tight? It's one of the things. Don't pull it too tight, or you'll lose the stitch. There we go. Cute little nose. So now I'm going to tie this and then tie it. Make that all disappear. Now we're going to do the black eyes. So I'm going to go up. Well, actually, here's next stitch up and one stitch over. So that's this one right here. I'm going to come in through the back. I'm not duplicate stitching this. I am going to do basically 3 stitches side by side, stacked on top, and then see what I need to do to make it more of a sturdy eye, because I don't want it to come slipping loose. 1, 2, 3. Come back up. Well, that worked. And then go down, and I'm going to go 1 up, 1 over. That's right there. So that worked. Okay. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and then see what I need. I need to come back down through, and then out through the back of the head. Try and match where you brought them out. I'm pulling on these threads just a little bit because that sets these eyes back in just a little. You don't want to do too much. You don't want to totally misshapen the face. But that worked. That's cute. All right, tie this. You don't want the eyes to come apart, so knot it really well. Bury the stitches. Or bury the stitches. Bury the yarn. And if you don't like the placement, you can always take them out and do them again. You're not pulling hard on these stitches. It's not blending the yarn with the base yarn. So it's pretty easy to go ahead and redo if you need to. Now, there's that knot. I want to make sure and give it a little tug so that that knot disappears inside. And then put a little bit of pressure on the string, on the thread. By putting pressure on the thread, it just pops right back inside. Now we're going to do the really quick and easy crochet for the ears. The ears are so easy. Even if you don't crochet, you can do this. You can do this. So what I'm going to do, and if you can do, a finger chain, you can do this. Honest, because all we're doing is we're using a crochet hook to make a chain of 10 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go in the first one. I'm going to skip it and go to the second. So you're not going in this. That's where the string is coming through. Okay? You're going to go in the next one. You're going to stick your chain, your hook through, pull it up, yarn over, and pull through. So now this is the one that you just came through. The yarn is right there. So you're going to move over to the next one, put your hook in, grab the yarn with the hook, wrap it over with the hook, take it through. So next chain. This is a single crochet. In the chain, grab the yarn. So now you have 2 loops. Wrap once over and pull through. In the chain, grab the yarn, wrap over, pull through. We're just going to go all the way down. Single crochet, and you can see how the ear is already wanting to curl. I like that. That's part of the charm of these bunnies. So they have these floppy curly ears. So now, when you get down to the end, you're going to chain 1, turn. You're not going to go in the chain 1, you're going to go into this space right after the chain 1. So I'm going to go in, grab my yarn, yarn over, pull through. In that space, grab the yarn, yarn over, pull through. So it's exactly the same stitch. All the way up. All the way down. All the way down. So this one, this last stitch, we're going to do a single crochet, the same as we have been. Chain 1. So the only tricky thing here, so we're at the end of it. We've done our chain 1, but instead of going back on the same row where we were, we're going to flip it over and go back up our first row. So that is the trickiest bit. So the chain is having to stretch over this end right here and go in, grab a stitch, grab the loop, single crochet. And now I'm looking for there's a gap. So there's a gap right here. I'm going to go in that gap, pick up, and single crochet. In the gap, pick up, single crochet. See how this is going? Making a lovely bunny ear. When we get down to the last stitch, we're just going to do a slip stitch. So the last stitch is going to be the stitch where that starting string was. So into that starting string gap, I'm going to slip my yarn right through that gap, and then I'm going to pinch the ear. So see this right now, it's kind of flat. I'm going to pinch it and slip stitch across the front of his ear. Not a hard stitch, just slip stitch and then pull through and leave yourself. Cut the yarn that's coming from the ball. Don't cut it down here where it's coming from the ear, or you won't be able to sew it on. See how this one moves? That's the one you want to cut. So I'm going to cut that one right here. And we have one bunny ear ready to go on. Oh, that's going to be so cute. So let's get the second bunny ear. So now we have our second ear. I'm just going to sew them on and see what happens. So whatever way you sew them on is up to you. Where this seam is here at the top, I'm going to go in at the corner of that seam and then whip stitch this ear. I stitch on the front, I flip the ear over, and I come from the back, and I stitch the ear through the back set also. So then whatever way this ear decides to lay, it's stitched on and it's not going to come off. I'm going to work my way back over to my beginning, stitching through the ear, stitching through the head, Oh, oh, that's good. I like that. I like that a lot. All right, now we're going to tie this one to the original tail. Oops, the original yarn tail. And then bury it where the end of the seam is, right here. Oh my gosh. Now, I'm not putting whiskers on mine. I don't tend to put whiskers on my critters. It's just one more thing that can get pulled out. So there we go. We have 2 little pocket friends. I love them. I hope you do too. Make sure that you click that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, and let me know, is there a critter you'd like to see? I have a more advanced stuffed toy that's going to be coming out soon. Advanced in that I'm doing it on the panel setting and doing shaping while it's on the knitting machine. So keep an eye open for that. And thank you guys so much. Remember, go out, be creative, take care of yourself, and be kind to each other. See you soon. Bye-bye.